State Senator Becky Duncan Massey on what this means for Tennesseans. And Knox County entering phase 2 of reopening this week. What trends we're seeing as customers head back to their favorite shops and restaurants. Plus, Congressman Phil Rowe faces scrutiny over stock trades made before and during the pandemic. We look at public records and get his response. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Tennessee This Week. I'm Blake Stevens. Some big-time spending cuts on the way for the volunteer state. This after an estimated $1 billion shortfall due to the pandemic. Earlier this week, I sat down with State Senator Becky Duncan Massey about the impact this could have on Tennessee families.
Without getting into the numbers right away, how has this pandemic impacted our state already, and what impact do you see that we can expect in the future?
Well, I mean, obviously, emotionally, it's impacted our citizens significantly. Health-wise, it has impacted our citizens, and economically. And, so it's going to take some time to recover from all of this. And there is a little bit different philosophy that, I think the Senate feels like, we're not at business as usual now. We've suffered major pandemic and a major issues here in Tennessee, and that we feel like we need to just go back and take care of the things that really are time sensitive. I mean, taking care of the budget, which really is going to be the most significant issue that we have to take care of. And then there are some things that really have to be done in order to, whether it's to draw down some federal dollars, whether it's an industry that if we pass this bill, it really will help their economic bottom line. So there are definite time sensitive things, and then there are some things that are strictly COVID related. The number that I keep hearing is about $1 billion more that we're going to have to look at finding, basically, because we do have to balance our budget. The good thing is that we were in as good a shape physically, probably better than about any other state in the country, to go into what we're getting ready to go into.
Any idea where those cuts could come from, where there's any fat to trim or the reserve?
I'm not really sure of that. I'm obviously, with my background, I'm hoping that it will come more from, some administrative areas, and not really direct services to our citizens. So I think that's, and there's a number of ideas that are being floated around.
What are your thoughts about, to help with the budget shortfall, getting rid of the tax-free holiday? And what are your thoughts about the $38 million allocation for the educational savings accounts?
Well, I didn't vote for the ESAs, just mainly because I felt like that public dollars ought to stay in public schools. That was not necessarily a new initiative as far as a new improvement to the budget this year. I think that would be one area that we could hold off that for a year, personally. But I think everything's on the table. I mean, I really do. The thing about the tax-free holiday, yes, I would. That should be on the table just like anything else. But then again, that affects some of our citizens that really need it the most. So, you kind of have to weigh the balances there. I'm hopeful that we don't just immediately go to our rainy day fund, though. I mean, or at least to solve all of it. I mean, obviously, it'd wipe it out, and then we wouldn't have anything next year. And I don't think that's very responsible either, though. So I think we need to look to see if there are things that are income producing that are not taxes but are income producing, and then look at some things that where we could shave off some dollars here. And
for lawmakers, that will mean tough choices ahead for at least a few budget cycles.
I was actually listening to a presentation that Dr. Fox had about 3 weeks ago, I guess it was. And he said he felt like it would take about 3 years for us to get back to kind of where we were. I mean, to really recover from the economic issues that we're going to be dealing with. It really will be hard. I mean, it's especially coming from a social service background as I have, you know, my heart goes toward helping people in whatever form, and vulnerable people at that. And so the next few years, you know, you've never been able to fund everything and every request and every great idea. The budget has been decided between good and good, not good and bad, but there's going to be some things that won't get funded this next few years that it would be great if we could fund them.
Massey also chairs the State Senate's Transportation and Safety Committee. She says ongoing state road projects will not be impacted by the cash shortfall because projects are pay-as-you-go, meaning they're paid before they're paved. However, she does believe there will be a dip in gas tax revenue.
It will be affected some by people driving less, because we will be getting less, you know, they'll be using less gallons in Tennessee, but there's still people driving through our state. So that will be helpful, and the trucking industry has still been going through.
Overall, Massey is optimistic about Tennessee's future and believes our response to the pandemic has been a good one.
I think people have taken it seriously. I think the key, as much as anything, is that people that are vulnerable, people that are elderly and that have underlying conditions have got to still continue to be careful. And I think that's important. And the people that are healthy, that they still need to take a certain amount of precaution, but we're seeing that the numbers, the people that are most significantly impacted are elderly with underlying conditions. You know, I think it's, you know, the majority of the deaths, the majority of the hospitalizations are with our folks that are older. And so I think we've done it well. I think people are ready to get back out. I think there's some industries that have probably been hit harder, and we need to look at getting some of those back open. You know, just like for weddings, and you know, I think that industry and stuff. But whether we're ready for 80,000 people, 90,000 people at Neyland Stadium, I'm not sure about that yet. But I think we've done a good job. People that are concerned about opening up and concerned about their health, they need to continue to do the extra social distancing, stay at home longer if that's what they feel like they personally need, and let people kind of move forward in the best way, because I think people have knowledge now, and I think we can move forward.
Well, still to come, our panel of pundits. You're watching Tennessee This Week from WATE 6 on your side. We'll be right back.
Kick it up a notch with your steakhouse favorites from Casey's. Juicy hand-cut steaks, amazing wings, and more. Grab it to go or for delivery. You can even take home a 6-pack of beef. Experience the new flavor in Knoxville at Casey's Steakhouse.
The open road has no boundaries, and Tennessee Truck Driving School can get you on the road to making more money and having a secure future. We'll train you in just 2 weeks and have you hauling for a company the following week. We have a program that will cover all upfront costs. Yep, get trained in just 2 short weeks with no upfront money out of pocket. What are you waiting for? Get on the road to a secure job and great pay. Call today.
Tennessee Truck Driving School. Call 865-330-0035.
Kick it up a notch with your steakhouse favorites from Casey's. Juicy hand-cut steaks, amazing wings, and more. Grab it to go or for delivery. You can even take home a 6-pack of beef. Experience the new flavor in Knoxville at Casey's Steakhouse.
Let's get it on. Queer Eye OGs, Ray Romano, RuPaul, and Scott Foley. Name something you like to do to Steve Harvey's mustache.
Stroke it.
Welcome back, everyone, to Tennessee This Week. Phase 2 of reopening Knox County began Tuesday. This, of course, allowing more people to gather socially 6 feet apart. It also allowed more businesses to open under certain health guidelines. This week, we also saw cases rise 3 days in a row. The county health department saying this is not necessarily a reason to go back to phase 1 or a reason not to advance to phase 3.
Let's talk about how there's a lot of data points and we don't consider any one data point. And so it's really what the whole picture looks like.
And the health department uses 5 things to determine how well we're doing throughout phase 2. It includes number of cases, the readiness of the health department to handle the outbreak, the capacity of nearby hospitals, and testing ability. They use a traffic light to display their findings from those metrics. That's updated every Friday, by the way. Well, the Knox County Health Department once again encouraging us to wear masks in public. This is to protect yourself and others and hopefully prevent the spread of COVID-19. Now, some viewers have shared their concerns, wondering if this is an infringement on their rights. Well, the health department assuring this is not required, but simply encouraged for public safety.
You know, again, I can understand that in one way, but I think it's really, and what we encourage people to look at it as is not as an infringement on your rights, but as you trying to look out for your neighbors and your loved ones and your community members, and doing what's right to help protect them.
Wearing a mask is just one of the 5 core actions the health department is encouraging to prevent the spread of COVID-19. They include social distancing, washing your hands frequently, washing surfaces, and staying home if you are sick. Well, U.S. Congressman Phil Rowe is facing scrutiny over stock trades he made before and during the coronavirus pandemic. Those trades coming to light in an investigation by the Tennessean. Our sister station in the Tri-Cities, WJHL, also getting a copy of Rowe's stock transaction reports. The companies he invested in include shopping sites like Amazon and Wayfair, plus online services like Zoom, Spotify, and Google. The problem is, per the Stop Trading on Congressional Knowledge Act, it's illegal for members of Congress to act on information they learn in their official capacity for personal benefit. Rowe defending his actions.
I had no input on anything as far as my finances because I was concerned that this would come up. And this is a total hatchet job by these people, and they know that, politically motivated. And again, anything that was bought, I had no input in.
All right, Congressman Rowe says his investment data reflects not just his portfolio, but also his wife's. We'll hear from our panel of pundits next.
Hello, my cat maker. Want some summertime fun? This is it. 2018 Jeep Wrangler Unlimited Golden Eagle Edition. Sale price $29,888. So have your fun today at Jim Caldwell's Chrysler Jeep Ram.
Hello, I'm Dr. Gabe Frank, a medical director for WATE. When you're trying to treat acute chronic pain, when you're trying to treat sports injuries, is controlling the inflammation. So by using the acoustic wave technology, by using the soft waves, we're actually able to specifically treat the area of pain. And that's really what the soft waves do, what the acoustic wave technology is all about.
Mike Davis here reminding you, dare to compare. I want to remind you that having maintenance is the #1 thing you can do to keep your heating and air system running trouble-free. When your system runs, it needs to be clean so it can cool efficiently. At City Heat and Air, our maintenance contract includes cleaning, 15% off repairs, and a 21-point inspection. If you need maintenance, give us a call. City Heat and Air, dare to compare.
Hello, my cat maker. Want some summertime fun? This is it. 2019 Ram Rebel 1500 quad cab 4x4, all the equipment. Sale price $34,888. So hurry in now to Jim Caldwell's Chrysler Jeep Ram.
All right, so we've got our panel of pundits, rather. You've got our healthcare analyst Craig Griffith there, our political contributor Courtney Piper, and our political analyst George Corda. Did I get that right? Y'all's boxes are in different.
Whatever pundits are.
Pundits. See, I knew I messed up.
We're just happy to be here.
They'll figure it out.
All right, so The last thing we talked about in our last segment was Congressman Phil Rowe and that reports of stock trading as early as January, right before the pandemic. I'm curious to hear from the three of you, how serious of an issue is this, and what does this mean in the future for stock trading among our lawmakers? George?
Well, I've known Phil Rowe for a number of years, and I read his response today, and he's adamant about it, that he had nothing to do with those trades, that they were made by professionals who are doing it for a living. So they're constantly keeping their eye on what things are going up, what things are going down, and how they can best get the most for their clients. And the fact that he's so adamant and so direct and was willing to sit down and talk about it, I believe Phil Rowe. I believe that he didn't know. I mean, I have one, maybe others do, financial advisors who handle things for you. They don't even tell you what they're doing. You find out afterwards what they've done because you entrust them to make the best decisions they can with your money. So and George, I think he's very clear that he didn't participate in these buys or the selling. And until somebody coughs up some genuine proof that he's not telling the truth, I think you got to take him at his word.
George, just real quick follow-up. He also has made comments that it was politically motivated, that this was all politically motivated. Do you see that?
I don't know that that's the case. I mean, he's retiring. He's leaving Congress. There's no reason to do this unless you thought you could pin on a sitting congressman a story that he profited from the information that he was provided as a member of Congress, that you can make that allegation. And the allegation has been made, and now he's doing what he has to do, which is defend it, and he's doing it very strongly. And I don't know him. I mean, we're not best buddies or anything, but I know him reasonably well, and he's an honorable guy. Somebody needs to produce evidence that he was in meetings making these decisions, and then you can say, maybe he did something wrong here.
Courtney, what do you make of all the reporting? A lot of this is still ongoing, but what you've seen so far, what do you make of it?
Well, Congressman Rowe should welcome the transparency that comes with an investigation. Of course, all of these trades are suspect. And the fact that there were over 600 just in the beginning of the year, before we even knew any information about COVID-19 and the effect it was going to have on our economy and public health, it's all very suspicious. He's now investing in companies that are doing trials for vaccines and creating vaccines for COVID-19. Of course, all of this looks suspicious, and if he's so adamant, he should welcome an open and transparent investigation, and that'll put this whole issue to rest.
Craig?
Well, there are a number of other members of the Tennessee delegation that also did some transactions during this period of time. Cohen in Memphis did a number, Cutstoff up in the 7th district, and even Tim Burchett here in the 2nd district had some trades. There were, it looks like Rowe did quite a sizable number, 366, but he wasn't certainly the only one. And as has been said, he's retiring. I don't understand how this can impact his further political career. So I don't know if it's a political hack job. But it's just information that's out publicly because of the new law that makes them file these reports. And there are other, the senator from Georgia, she would make somewhere between $45 and $87 million on these trades. That certainly raises an eyebrow. And you need to think, what are these trades? And is it enough just to put your trade transactions into a blind trust?
And I want to switch gears a little bit here to the state budget. I know earlier we heard from State Senator Becky Duncan Massey. She's hearing projections that the state is going to have about a $1 billion deficit to make up in next year's budget. She also talked a little bit about possible cuts. So my question to you all is, what do you make of her priorities going into these cuts? And do you see areas where cuts can be made? Courtney, I'll start with you this time.
Senator Becky Duncan Massey seems very measured with her approach. The rumor that I've heard is that everything new is going to be removed from the budget. And I think that's incredibly short-sighted. Yes, this is an opportunity to see what is and is not working, but it's not a time to cut back on investments that can really pull us out of this kind of economic slump. So investing in things like higher education and post-secondary education to give Tennesseans the workforce skills that they need to enter into a new economy would be extraordinarily helpful. So we should look at everything. You know, one of the things is expanding Medicaid, bringing those federal tax dollars back to the state of Tennessee. I can't think of any time better to do it than during a global pandemic when people need access to those kinds of resources. So, I would hate to see the Tennessee General Assembly be so short-sighted and just sort of keep our economy in a status quo situation and not look at this and say, where are the opportunities for us to really give something back to Tennesseans?
Courtney, when you talk about the need to keep those new investments up, like in education, I assume, just based on our previous panel discussions, that you do not consider school vouchers to be on the list of things to keep?
No, because Blake, what I also said is we should look at what's working and what's not working. And there is absolutely no data from any other state in the country that shows that vouchers work. What does work is investing in community schools. So that's $38 million right there we could put to a better use.
All right. Anytime there's an opportunity, you have to ask Courtney about school vouchers. George, the budget and this potential shortfall, where do you see the possibility for cuts?
I'm not a member of the budget committee, and I don't think they're going to pay much attention to what I have to say. I do think there's $1 billion got to be whacked out of this budget somewhere. And they can maybe use some of the rainy day fund and might, because if legislators like anything less than losing, it's not being able to spend money, because spending money is how they get people to like them. And it's just not easy to do when you are in government, to tell people, here's what we're going to do. We're going to cut you. All you do is make enemies. You make no friends. But what this is going to be kind of a good object lesson, because on a national scale, it's what down the road, whether it's next year, 5 years from now, whenever, it's what the United States is going to be facing. A situation where you just don't have the money to do what you want to do, so you've got to reduce what you're spending. Tennessee is a very fiscally sound state, so it's in better shape than most. These basket cases like California and Illinois, they're in desperate trouble. Tennessee's in a better situation, but I don't think you're going to see lawmakers do, or the governor do, what the California governor threatened if you didn't get enough money from the federal government, which was to lay off first responders. That's not going to happen. It's not going to be easy, but they're going to come up with the least painful way to take $1 billion out of the budget.
And Greg, I don't know if you have any ideas for things that could be cut, but where do you see this impacting Tennessee families with what we know right now?
Well, the governor has instructed all the agencies of the state to reduce their budgets by 12%. That's a pretty sizable number. That's a bigger number than you can get by simply doing away with travel and having no more conferences for people to go to. So like Courtney says, where those departments put their cuts, it will determine how we're going to come out of this recession. They need to pick the programs that serve the people the most when they're doing the cutting by 12%. So it's a very difficult period. And while Tennessee is on a substantially firm foundation economically, the state also, to a large extent, depends on the sales tax. And sales tax revenue is tanked in this particular crisis. So it's going to be hard for Tennessee to make up that money in the future until the people start spending money again. And we don't know exactly when that's going to be. Places like Pigeon Forge and Sevier County that are experiencing really bad unemployment because no one's coming to visit those attractions there. So until people start feeling safe about traveling again and coming back for vacations, it could be a very difficult period. this year and next year as well.
I've got about 2 minutes on this last question, and I want to start with you on it, Craig. Phase 2 kicked off this week, but also this week we saw Phase 2 for Knox County, I should add, but we also saw this week 3 consecutive days where the number of active cases went up. Health Department saying that doesn't necessarily mean we're going to back up or not go forward. It's just one spot in time. What did you make of the cases with reopening kind of in tandem there?
Well, the virus hasn't gone away. The virus is still out there. It's being transmitted on a daily basis. So to think that we're going to be able to go back to a more semi-normal where people were congregating and not have an increase in cases didn't make much sense. So it's a risk reward for people. Do I go out and risk getting the virus, or do I go out and have dinner at a restaurant? So we came to a point where we almost had to start doing some phased opening of the economy. But the thing that I'm concerned about is if the numbers do spike and the economy has to be closed down again. Oh, that's I don't know. I don't know if people will respond to a request to close down the economy again.
George, there'll be revolution, not violent, but revolution. People aren't going to do that again. And the other thing about the numbers, the active cases in Knox County are what right now?
Well, it's Thursday, and we're taping this on Thursday, but we had 3 consecutive days of gains.
Right, which was about 12 cases overall, if I'm right. I'm approximating here. There's 450,000 people in this county. So we're talking about a percentage that is it's difficult to even measure. So before we start getting into the arena of, what if the economy has to be shut down again? We really need to have a situation in which you've got more than 300 cases in a county of 455,000. That's the kind of thing, I think, when people start to lose their confidence that the folks in charge know what they're saying and doing. It's got to get a lot worse.
I'm sorry, Courtney, I've got about 20 seconds. Sorry about that.
But we don't want to get to that. We don't want to get to that point. So, I think what Knox County is doing right now, as of this taping Thursday, is we've moved to a red light situation, and we've got our public health officials really monitoring infrastructure to see, can we handle the kind of surge that may occur from the spikes we've been seeing over the last couple of days.
All right.
The models haven't been on target so far.
We will keep our eye on it, pundits. I appreciate your time, and I appreciate all of our viewers. We'll see you next week for more